Today's episode is sponsored by Zegama Beach Records, who have recently released the new album by Pittsburgh's Ed Hockley, titled Hirelander. For carefully refined riffs backed up with an assault from 2 entire drum kits, look no further. It's the band's first new music in nearly a decade, so you don't want to miss it. Also available from their sibling label Tomb Tree is the new cassette from Kansas City's Horseboy. If you like your screamo with super weird guitars and frantically distorted vocals, this is the one for you. Grab these and other fine releases at ZegamaBeachRecords.com. Hello, and welcome to Everything Remade, a podcast that I hope is about growth as much as it is about music. I'm Edie Quinn, and we have a great show lined up for you today. Before we get started, though, I'd like to remind you we have a Patreon page, where for as little as $3 a month, you can sign up to get music sneak peeks, zines to read, and so much more. That's patreon.com/humanmachine. And now I'd like to play something for you. You're hearing Bend by Lockslip, which comes off their new self-titled EP, which you can find on Bandcamp. I sat down with my old pal and former Hoosier TJ, who plays guitar in the band, and my new pal, their vocalist Sara, and had a nice chat.
I was about 5 years old, and my parents are obsessed with Aerosmith. So I was raised by my parents, Tom and Nancy, and then also Steven Tyler was just kind of always on the TV, right? So I vividly remember their song "Eat the Rich," which sounds super badass and based, but I feel like if you listen to the lyrics, it's probably not as like badass and bass as it probably could have been. But I remember loving that song when I was a little kid, and my mom tells me that I literally would go and take like pots and pans from the kitchen and like set them up as drums in the living room to like play drums like along to the music videos and shit. So I think I'm gonna have to give that to Aerosmith. They're the ones that made me want to play music.
That's interesting. I remember having the 10-gallon like plastic buckets that like food, like industrial grade food stuff came in that I would and then like later, like, it's funny when you see people like busking with those and they're like they turned them into like legit instruments.
Mm-hmm.
I like to think maybe back then, like I had something. I had some skill, maybe, but no, not really. What about you, Sara?
Well, that's very funny because I definitely used my dad would buy the big Maxwell House containers for coffee, and I would always use those as drums with like chopsticks. So,
oh, awesome. Yeah.
I'll do the same sort of thing.
Yeah. You gotta just start with like whatever you got laying around, and then mow some lawns or something. I don't know.
Still using those.
Yeah.
That's a good question because I'm not sure. I mean, specifically, I remember being like, I don't know, 13 or 14 and like just belting out Thursday songs in my bedroom. So definitely something like that. And I know it sounds like an easy one because I still really like my favorite band, but like the first time I heard Converge, I was like, I gotta yell harder than Thursday.
Yeah. That's awesome. And that's funny that we got to converge like so quickly in this conversation because that was like a big thing when I'm like listening to Lockslip for the first time is I'm like, how did we go from House Olympics to this, right? Which is, and it makes sense, Sarah. You're like Converge is my favorite band because, I read in an interview before where you're like basically like, well, I just sort of saw that they were looking for a vocalist, so I figured, what the hell, I'll check it out. And then you show up, and this band sounds like they're kind of going for the same thing as your favorite band. Like, well, this is a no brainer, right? Like, but that's not so much as a question, but back to the actual question, like TJ, like how do you go from 2017, you release the House Olympics album, you wind up in California, and you start a band that sounds like this? Like, what was that journey like? Like, was it? It obviously was like a decision. It wasn't. It didn't just. It wasn't an accident, right? So.
Yeah, totally. I mean, yeah, because I guess for people who don't know, yeah, because like House Olympics was very much just more in like the twinkly emo screamo sort of Midwest count your lucky stars, like that whole scene that was going on back then, and like that music like really was like a formative moment for me. Like back when I was like late in high school, early college, I was really into that type of music. But before I got into like all the emo screamo stuff, the first like kind of heavy music that I really loved was like hardcore. I really was into like Bridge 9 records, like a lot of like straight edge bands and stuff when I was in high school. Like that was like the shit that I really ate up when I was like even younger. So I've always been into like heavier music and stuff, but definitely when I was in college took a big left turn listening to like screamo and everything. But yeah, like just my love for heavy music definitely has just like kind of grown over the years. And then, yeah, like after House Olympics kind of unofficially broke up, like, because, I moved to California, Nick moved to Japan, and then Dwayne moved to Chicago. Like we all just went our separate ways, just living out in LA, LA's hardcore scene's just like insane. There's just always there's Sound and Fury. There's just so many good shows happening all the time. And, for Midwesterners, that is just such a blessing to be like, there's 6 shows happening all the time. And you don't have to drive 4 hours to go to one, So I think, since being out in LA, I definitely returned to like hardcore heavy music just for what I was listening to a lot. And, bringing up Sound and Fury, I kind of credit that festival for kind of being that spark that reignited me wanting to be in a heavy band, because I went to it like a couple years ago, and at that point Nick from House Olympics also moved out to California as well. We're roommates now.
Yeah, I was like, what, did they move out there together? Like, what happened there?
No, so he moved out in like 2019. So he lived in Japan for a couple years. He was teaching English out there, and then he was trying to move back to the States, and he like messaged me like, should I move to LA or New York? And I was like, please move to LA for the love of God. I need some friends out here. I literally made a PowerPoint for him to convince him why he should move out here, and it worked. So I can send you the PowerPoint if you're curious. But yeah, basically once he and I were out here, I just felt that itch, especially when I was at Sound and Fury that year, like seeing just, everyone just going crazy, like stage diving and going nuts and stuff. And I was like, damn, I really miss playing live music, like in that sort of like heavy setting. So that's basically like, but that was just kind of like what started Lockslip basically.
Yeah. Was that a stretch for Nick to like to go from, or was this just like, oh, y'all just have that, like, where you're like bouncing, you're used to each other, like bouncing ideas off of each other and stuff? Or was it like, I gotta get good again, like, this is fast? Or like, was there any like learning curves, I guess, or anything like that?
I would say the biggest learning curve that came for me and Nick was just like, it was more of like a gear thing, just kind of learning how to get just a heavier tone.
Get the twin reverbs guitars out of here. Let's like,
yeah, like literally before we started the band, Nick bought a Vox AC30. Like that's like his dream amp, which is still using. Like I don't know how many heavy bands use AC30s, but like Nick is using an AC30.
Oh, wow.
And it honestly sounds pretty sick. But yeah, I would say like just like that was the biggest learning curve, was just kind of technically like that. Because also, you know, when with House Olympics we played in basically, I think he played in E standard and I did one of those like dumb open twinkly tunings. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But now we're playing in like drop B and everything. So just learning kind of that style more. I think that was the biggest shakeup for both me and Nick.
Yeah. Sarah, do you feel like there was any sort of like learning curve going from like entry to this band? Like
1,000,000%.
yeah, because I was gonna say like people might think like, oh, like what? It's like fast, heavy music. Like, like how much different could it be? But other than viscerally, because like viscerally, I feel like you're at 1,000,000% in both bands. But like, but just I don't know. As someone who does vocals a lot, like I'm like well aware that the approach is completely different, and I even I'm like this. There's a deliberateness to the differences in the approach here. So like, what did you have to like just sort of rethink how you do things from the very beginning, or?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of went into it trying to be, my usual efforts, the way I do things, but it just didn't quite work. I think one of the things is that the songs are longer. I'm really used to like a 58-second song, or so you like write a couple lines and it's done. But then this was like, okay, I've written what I wrote, and then there's like a minute left of this song. So in that regard, as much as I was not wanting to be vulnerable and ask for help, I then decided to let TJ help me. So we actually had a few writing sessions where we would kind of bounce stuff off of each other, and that was super helpful. So now I know going forward, I absolutely need his help.
Yeah.
Which I've never done before ever. I'm like always do everything by myself. But so lyrically, yes, I needed a little bit of help with that. And then just really just the timing. I mean, all the entry stuff is just pretty straightforward, line by line, verse, chorus, whatever. But these songs are like everything like 17/8 or what,
Yeah, I don't know that. I don't know that stuff either. Like my bandmates have to tell me like, "Oh, you did this in whatever," and I'm like, "That's cool, I guess. Is that cool? Like, tell me if that's cool." But yeah, that's interesting. So it was really just like because I think I'm not trying to say this is exactly what you felt, but I've been to that point before where it's like you're like, okay, like I feel like I said what I needed to say in this song, so how do I fill the rest of this out? Was it that generally?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I was like pretty happy with what I had, but then I'm like, well, that's all I've got. So
Yeah.
what do we do now? So, but it was nice working with someone else, and I didn't think it would be because I was just scared of that, or even showing someone lyrics before a song is done. I'm like, I don't even want them to see them afterwards. So like, then like having to read them out loud slowly, like it was.
And I was being really mean about it too.
Yeah,
I bet.
mean.
Yeah, I bet you were. That's what everybody always says about you. You're so mean. Like as soon as you left Indiana, everyone had a party. Like, thank freaking goodness that jerk is gone.
And I wasn't invited to my own leaving party.
No, that's why. Because it was like, we're glad TJ's gone. Yay. But no, it's really weird because like, lyrics. It's like sometimes you can read lyrics and you're like, and there's that sense that they're good, whether they're in context of the song or not. Like, I feel like there are some lyrics that I read that are good, and I'm like, wow, this would be good even if it wasn't a song, right? But like, I don't think my lyrics have ever been that, So like, I don't know. I've never read my lyrics to anyone, and I can imagine that being a very like, ooh, I don't like this, you know. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
that's
I'm going to be more critical probably than anyone else anyway, because I find myself listening to songs and later I'm like, what does that even mean? Or, like
yeah,
other people's songs, like they just wrote stuff and I love it. So it doesn't matter that much. But to me, it does.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and that's something. There's something that's been coming up a lot lately, which is like the idea, excuse me, of like if you if you write the lyrics well enough, you shouldn't have to explain the song. And like that's I think that's valid, but at the same time, like I really like just enjoy some songs that like I don't think make a lot of sense. Like, I mean, I don't know. I guess like Jets to Brazil comes to mind. Like what is all that shit? I don't know what the fuck you're
Mhm.
saying, but I love it. I'm like, this is great. These are the best lyrics I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
And also some of the worst at the exact same time. But like, yeah, it's lyrics are so weird like that. Like sometimes I'm like, I just want to say, I just want to say the shit that I want to say, and I just don't care if it makes any sense. I don't care if it makes sense in the context of the other stuff that I've said. And then sometimes I'm like, I hear people and they're like, well, if you write lyrics good enough, then you shouldn't have to explain the song. And I'm like, I'm crushed. I'm defeated. It's all pointless. I lose. So I don't know. It's like just writing lyrics. I feel like in general is a pretty vulnerable experience if you have like anything less than a infallible like ego. Like
Yeah.
if you are one of those people, then I guess you're good. It's like whatever, nothing can bother you, but anybody else it's like, yeah. um there's
Yeah.
not really a question there. That's but that's cool that y'all are able to just like bounce ideas off of each other, and there's not like there's no like weird dynamic or anything. Um I don't think I've ever done that. I think like that would be amazing to just be like just to have that other perspective and just like let like I'm always like I guess you like what's that term where it's like you're delineating, like just like I don't know, um no matter what it is, like if you are able to delineate like some of the responsibilities, like it just makes it easier for everyone. I don't know. That's why I don't always get the whole like thing. I mean, I do get it because I can play drums, but like when people are like, and then the guitar player tries to tell you what to play on drums, like I would love that. I'd be like, yeah, show me what to play, and then they're like, what if it didn't make any sense? But then what if, as a drummer, you took that idea and made it make sense and came up with like something really wacky? Like I think
Right.
there's always a possibility of that too. You know, like
Yeah.
have somebody just like mouth a guitar riff to you, and you can translate that into an actual guitar riff. That would be like amazing. And I kind of do that to myself all the time. Like, do you ever in any of your projects, Sarah? Like, I'm not sure. Do you play an instrument as well, or?
I play a little bass and like I definitely like for entry again it's like a lot simpler music. I'm still wrapping my head Lockslip musically, like how to write that sort of thing. But for entry, I'll like sometimes be like, play this kind of drum part. Like I do like to do that a lot. But like I wrote a little bit of the entry stuff
Yeah.
on bass and that we use like the riffs and everything. But so I'm just kind of getting more confident with like bringing music to the table because before I was like, it probably sucks, but I was like, well, I'll never know unless I show someone. And then it's like one of my
Exactly.
we
Yeah.
did ended up being like something I wrote. So it was cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, like, realistically, I think it all sucks until it's like done, right? Like, have either of you ever experienced that as well? Like you're recording something or something, and you're like, I don't know if this is it, and then everybody puts their thing down, everybody does it, and then you're like, what? Like, why was I worried about this? This is awesome. I mean,
Yeah, I would 100% agree with that. Like that's so much of the writing process, I would say, for Lockslip. Um, you know, everyone kind of puts their hand in it a little bit, and usually, I guess, like as far as like the workflow or whatever goes, I'll kind of be usually the first one to bring like a riff to the table, but I'm not like super savvy when it comes to like playing in weird time signatures and stuff, or just like making a riff like super complicated, or just like, you know, really polishing something. But I'll kind of be like what you were saying, Eddie, just like having just like a riff that's like in my head, and I'm like kind of mouthing it to myself, and I'll like make something that kind of sounds like that. I'll present it to the rest of the band, and then usually it's our drummer Noah, who is sort of like the mad scientist, who is just like very, very good with all things rhythm and time, and just like also just like very good with like song structure and stuff as well. He's kind of the one that can kind of help breathe a little bit more life into the song. And then, you know, Nick is fantastic with like coming up with like his leads and everything. And then also our bassist Joe, he also brings all that great heaviness, and like he's also an absolute encyclopedia when it comes to like all things like metal and like music history and stuff. So he's just got this like wealth of knowledge that he can like add on to stuff too. And then obviously, of course, Sarah's vocals and stuff. So
Hey,
usually,
I will say I've contributed a little bit to making sure that someone doesn't change it 800 times.
exactly. That's the other problem we run into. Is
Recorded
like
a whole song and then you want to change it again. I'm like, it's pretty good already. I think we're good. We don't need another minute.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, to go back to the question, yeah, like I'm always just like my initial riffs that I come up with, I'm happy enough with them where I can show them to other humans, but then definitely want to bring them to life a lot more.
This is not a serious question, although it is a serious question. Like, there's always like in my mind, there's always okay, like there's a few spots on y'all's EP, for example, where it's like, I don't know if this is gonna come across right when I'm like explaining it, but there's like the heavy part of the riff, and then at the end there's the part where it goes right, and like that's where the drummer comes in, isn't it? Because it's like you all need to stop doing the first thing so you can do the niddle, and who decides where you go into the niddle? Like, is that done beforehand? Like, is there counting involved? That's what I always want to know in bands like this, is like, where do you break to the niddle? Are we saying, okay, this is 7 out of 10, jun jun jun, and then the last 3 are the niddle? And how does this whole how's that all work out? Does that work in? Is it like a thing where, you know, Sarah seemed to say that things get changed a lot. So is it like you come in with this idea, like you have the riff, maybe it's not all the way fleshed out, and you're like, I want to have this part, it's like, it's really heavy, and then towards the end it tapers out into this like little chaotic thing. Like, how do we make this all happen? Or is it kind of just like you said, you bring pretty much the whole thing and then it just gets tweaked?
Yeah, I would definitely say that it starts. The riffs that I bring to the table usually are the version that is done by like a 5-year-old like very just like basic to the point sort of thing. But I also do it like very deliberately because I know that like there's other good musicians in the band that can like help bring a little bit more life into it. And I feel like it's also just like an efficiency thing where if I spend like all day trying to think of like the perfect like part, I'm just going to waste my day because like I feel like that's not really kind of where I shine with that. But yeah, I'll kind of bring the baby version of the riff to the table. And then it's usually Noah that's just like, what if we put in a weird time signature? What if we like add a bunch more leads? Like, what if we do this? What if we do this? And then it kind of becomes this like crazy, just like cornucopia of riffs and leads and just craziness. And then at some point, then we kind of have to figure out where we want to taper it back a little bit. So it's not, so like it's still like enjoyable to listen to. And it's not just like, you know, just us showing off how good we are at our instruments and playing in time, because we just want to write like fun sounding songs that like people are into as well. Not just like, we don't want to be like a prog metal band, basically.
Yeah.
Sarah's shaking her head to that.
No, we do. No, we don't. No, is that a yes? No prog metal.
We don't.
Okay.
No prog metal here.
I actually, I don't know. Like, I think it's kind of funny because not our newest album, but 2 albums ago, we were like definitely like we're writing a prog song in this album, and I was like, yeah, prog screamo. I don't know really if that's like Circle Takes the Square comes to mind, but like, you know, other than that, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. We have a song or two in there where I'm like, yeah. I clearly was listening to a lot of Peter Gabriel area Genesis at the time that I wrote this, and that's fine. But yeah, thanks for successfully answering the goofiest question that I've ever 191 episodes, and I'm like, I get just laying out this goofy stuff.
I'm always down to go goofy. Don't worry.
Yeah. So, you know, like. This question is kind of like out of nowhere, but like, Sarah, like, like, I've actually been following Entry for a while, and I was like, oh, I should chat with someone from that band, and didn't know until like we set this up that you were in both bands. Y'all are like always on like the feed, like it's always like y'all are so busy. Was that a consideration when you were like gonna join this band, where you're like, I don't like, maybe I just won't even have time? Or
not really. I mean, we had a pretty busy last year, but overall we don't do that much every project or work, and we really like Entry will probably never be like a full-time thing, you know. It's just like with everyone else's obligations, it's really hard. So we do what we can. But I mean, I just want to play more. And I was like, another band sounds great. That's awesome. And I like this music. So that's pretty.
Yeah. I guess sometimes it's like, you know, from an outsider perspective, also it can seem a lot busier because you may be seeing like 3 or 4 different sets of photos or something from the same show. So you're like, whoa, this band's like plays constantly, or, you know, like maybe that was just like my understanding of it. But like y'all definitely did, you know, you released that 7-inch last year on Convulse, and it seems like there's, you know, been some shows and everything. Lockslip still hasn't played a show though yet. Is that correct? Or okay,
that is correct. Yeah. Yeah, we were trying to set something up like towards the end of this month, just to do like a fun little first show release show sort of thing, but it's been tough. And that's, you know, one thing that I can say as a Midwestern boy moving to the big city. It's a lot harder to set shows up in big cities, I think, which would feel kind of like, I guess, like counterintuitive because, you know, there's more venues, there's more promoters, there's more bands, but just because there's so much more supply, I guess, that just, and also since, like you said, yeah, like we're a new band, we haven't played a show yet. We are still kind of struggling to like kind of find, I guess struggling's not the right word, but we're just being a lot more patient than we thought we were going to have to be, which is like finding those first couple shows. which we do have like one show lined up, but to be determined on. Well, I guess like, we just can't like announce it yet because the promoter hasn't set it up yet, but stuff is like slowly coming in.
Yeah, it's like when you're trying to book a tour and you should do it 6 months in advance, but that's like every show for y'all because that's just how it gets booked up, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Like, you were like, that's the adverse to like, you're like, there's a sick show every night. It's like, yeah, there is, and like, there's all these bands that want to play all these shows all the time, and so that booking just gets that far ahead as far as all that goes. Like we got asked like in like I don't know, October or something about some shows in California, and I was like, we're talking about next summer, but it made more sense because that was like this festival thing, but I was just like, next summer, I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna have like $50 next week, let alone like plane tickets in July or whatever, but
there you go.
Say what?
I got time to save.
Yeah. It's yeah, I don't know. It's just it's wild. It's been a long time since I've been in the like active trying to book shows. Like at this point with everything that's gone on in the last year or so with like my family and stuff, it's just like I'm in a position where it's just like if people want to ask, then that's fantastic, but I can't like go looking as much,
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like it's just wild. Like you're like you spent like all this time getting the EP and everything, and it's like you would almost had to like before you even had all the songs and stuff, you would have had to been trying to book that first show, to make the thing happen at the same time. But yeah, what like about when did the band like fully form and everything to where we have like an idea how this all how long this all took to put together and everything?
So from the initial idea of like wanting to start the band, that was like summer of 2022. So it was like across like July, August, September, whatever. That's when Nick and I were finding other members. So Noah and Joe, we found both of them on Craigslist, which,
oh wow,
holy shit, we actually like found
good
musicians that we vibe with on Craigslist. Like it was, 100% just like a diamond in the rough sort of situation. Like very, very happy that it actually worked out, and can't say I always condone meeting people on Craigslist, but this time it very much worked out. And then, we were also trying to find other vocalists for a while. So actually the band initially started with I wanted my girlfriend Amanda to be our vocalist because she and I have always wanted to like start a hardcore band together. But as we started writing the songs more and more, they got a little bit more like technical, more complicated. And Amanda was just like, I don't think I can handle this. Like this, like I want to be in like kind of like a band that does like short songs, like easy, just not like easy, but just like, something that's a little bit more user friendly for a first band sort of thing.
Yeah. First bands are, like, yeah, it's not necessary. This isn't necessarily like conducive to that, to someone's first band experience.
Yeah. And yeah, not throwing shade at that idea at all, but that's just kind of like what that's what Amanda was kind of saying that she wanted to do. So tried some other people, found some other people on Craigslist who were not good fits, which we don't need to get into.
Okay, but we will. Like don't name anyone, I don't want to bring anybody down or anything. But did you have people that just like did not understand the assignment whatsoever? Like did you have someone that came and tried to sing like Morrissey? Like what was the the general what happened?
We did have one guy, we had one person who definitely like they were like a friend of a friend who, they were good at vocals, but yeah, it was just not a match like stylistically. But that wasn't like the bad experience I was talking about. Like that, there was one where we met someone on Craigslist and they were like a good vocalist. They definitely gave off sort of like Josh Scogin vibes, just kind of like the yelly like sort of thing. But personality vibes just were not. It was not a good fit sort of thing. Yeah, I don't want to like call.
Yeah, no,
call the dude out for like, but yeah, like basically he just kind of said some whack shit within like 2 hours of us meeting him, and we were just all like red flag, red flag, red flag, and we just we finished like the jam session
a year later though.
Huh?
I said better within like 2 hours than like a year later.
Yeah, exactly. Like so we knew right away it just wasn't a good personality fit. So
yeah, thanks for being real, whoever that was, and like letting you know right away, like, nah, this ain't it. Cause like, yeah, it's better than the EP comes out and then this person gets on Twitter, you know, and you're like, oh, geez, like what the fuck happened?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I think that's good. So yeah, shout out to anonymous person. But so yeah, basically at that point, things just weren't going well. So then I turned to Facebook. I just made like a random Facebook post being like, hey, I've got a new band in LA, trying to look for a vocalist sort of thing. And one of my friends back from the House Olympics days tagged Sara in the post because he was just mutual friends with both of us. So I stalked Sara on Facebook, saw she was an entry, and I was just like, all right. So I hit her up and she came over and jammed with us, saw that we were not like too creepy or no, we weren't saying the whack shit, so like,
they're
vibes
from
were good between all
Indiana,
of
but
us.
they're not from Indiana, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, things were just good then. And then I would say it was like last spring, like last like March or something, where Sara came into the mix, and then last summer is when we were like recording everything. Had to kind of put the recording on pause for a while just because Entry was busy with like touring and doing a bunch of stuff, just life stuff getting in the way, as it does when you try to start a new band when everyone's a little bit older now. So it took some time, but we finished recording everything basically this past winter, like December-ish. So it's been a long process just to get four songs out, but we were very patient and very deliberate with everything, and we're super happy with just how it all turned out.
Yeah.
But you even said before too, it's not even just that it took that long to get the songs done, but you're kind of trying to find a sound. Whereas like now you kind of have the vibe and we can write songs like faster and more efficiently, where then it was like, what are we trying to go for with this initially? So
yeah.
Well, I mean, like, if nothing else, I mean, like, the EP, like, it definitely sounds like, you accomplished that. You did that. You put in the, like, effort beforehand to be like, okay, this is what you can expect. And, like, it doesn't feel like at all like a first thing. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like any EP from a band that's already been releasing stuff for like 3 years or whatever. It sounds like very deliberate,
that.
like you said. It's like everything feels really dialed in, and it sounds like, I mean, the recording is like impeccable, and yeah, I don't know, like, it's like it sounds very established. It's just like we've been doing this, we know what we're doing, and like it's none of y'all's first bands, but still there's always that thing when it's someone's first release where it's just like, okay, you can see like they're kind of getting their footing, and this doesn't have that feel at all. It feels like, okay, like y'all sort of came out fucking stuff up, and like you're ready to keep fucking stuff up, I guess. But,
appreciate it.
Yeah, like, Sara, you said that, like, you hinted that, like, since that sort of establishing process was sort of finished, or as finished as it can be in an evolving band or whatever, that it's been easier to like write songs, et cetera, et cetera. So like, is that where you're at now? Like as a band, like, you know, you're putting some shows together, you know, and stuff like that. But is it like, okay, now we're like gonna write an album, another EP? Like what's the idea from there?
You want to take it, Sarah?
You can go ahead.
Yeah, we're trying to write an album right now. That's current plan. But yeah, it's still very much early stages, I would say. But yeah, we got just a whole Dropbox just full of riffs and shit that we're just trying to figure out where the riffs belong to each other. Just yeah, doing a lot of those first steps, you know, that we did with the EP as well. But now, like Sarah said, we have a much better idea of what we want to sound like. We have that workflow, like the chemistry built from like working on the EP together. So yeah, like shit's moving a lot faster than it has before, which is great. Yeah, we're very excited about new stuff happening in the future for sure.
Do you do that in a DAW? Do you just like hammer out like a riff 4 times and you said there was a Dropbox, so is it just like people taking these things into a DAW and like literally putting them next to each other and seeing if it works, or a little bit of that and a little bit of like working things out live?
Yeah, it's a lot of like when Noah and I are writing together, it can kind of start with just like the two of us just kind of like riffing on guitars or whatever, or I'm on guitar, he's on drums, and we'll just like if we want to just like save it so we don't forget it, we'll just kind of do like put down our phone and just like record it on the iPhone or whatever, and hopefully it doesn't sound too shitty. But when we're properly like trying to actually like flesh out a song, we go over to his house because he has like his whole recording set up like in his garage. So we recorded everything with Noah. He was like the producer on everything. So he's got like his own little studio set up like in his back garage and stuff. So yeah, like basically we just use Ableton at his house. We just kind of like set up some plugins, and I have like a decent sounding guitar, and like he has all of his drums all mic'd up and everything. So we try to like demo stuff out like that, which has been like so nice, because back in the House Olympics days, like we never did that shit. Like we would always just stick with like the iPhone recordings and just be like, yeah, I think this sounds fine. Like demoing out songs was just like not something that we ever even really thought to do back then. So it's been nice actually like being able to record something and then just like being able to listen back to it and critique it from that level, you know?
Hit the jackpot on the Craigslist there, like to where not only like, you know, this person's like solid and like a good musician, but you're like also like got like a producer you know, situation out of the deal as well. Yeah, it's
yeah, we're singing his praises all day. So I mean, if we're able to do any plugs on this podcast, like if anybody in SoCal wants their band to be recorded, like hit up Noah. Like he does shit so well.
Yeah, I don't know how like someone, excuse me, with all those credentials as it were, like even like why are you even on Craigslist? Like it seems like they would be so busy. They don't have time for that. Like I can't take any more calls. Like I just, you know, all the hats are stacked high on this on my head right now.
Well, but I don't want to speak for Noah like entirely, but what I've kind of gathered is basically like, so he's originally from Portland, Oregon, and he moved down to LA because he took a job down there, and we met him it was like maybe a couple months after he moved to LA.
Oh,
So I think we just got him
you
right at the
got
right
that.
time.
Yeah, you right place, right time. And
Yeah,
yeah, it was just like, I'm new here. Um, I want to play with some people. And it was just like, me. And
exactly.
didn't even
Yeah.
know until it's, and didn't we almost have it all play softly in the background and all that. But yeah, that's awesome. The whole like origins of this band sound like just um, somebody sprinkled fairy dust into its existence. Like it all seems highly improbable. Like as many times as I've been like, uh, yeah, I'm looking for a vocalist on this project. I've never had anyone come and like it with in to Sarah's caliber and be like, yeah, I can probably do this, and then just like rah, just like tear shit up like that. So you know, I mean, I work with like lots of very talented people, but like when you're just putting out a cold call like that, I mean, you've obviously had a couple of experiences to where you know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, that's like um does it feel like you is it intimidating that you're like, okay, now this is an album situation, or is it just more of the same? Like, is there a pressure?
Um, I think we're unnecessarily putting a little bit of pressure on ourselves. Like because we put out 4 songs that we really love, but we don't want to reinvent the wheel like with new shit because again, like we're a new band. Like we don't need to pull like a huge left turn like with the sound or anything. Like
Yeah, you
so,
just got started, so
yeah, we just got started. So I think I know for a fact because I just talked to him about it. Noah was like, I feel so much pressure to make the songs like even crazier and stuff, and I'm just like, bro,
right,
like let's just have fun and just do
right.
what we've been doing.
Just to go kidding. Everyone has a lot of pressure, but I think that if we just stick to what we like, it's fine. And I was like, we could have had one song that people liked and they didn't like the rest, but they're all pretty different. And, you know, mostly everyone seemed to like the whole thing. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but
Sometimes,
I'm all for like experimenting with other stuff, but I don't think that you need to change the brand, you know? I don't think that like, okay, we got to like be better this time. It's like better is subjective anyway. It's like, just keep, I don't know. I think if you're just genuine with what you're doing, that's what shows. And if people don't like it, then they don't like it. But if you like it, then, we'll have fun with it.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Sometimes there is that like, like the EP has been extremely well received as far as I can see, and so sometimes there is that sort of like um, sophomore, like where you're like, oh, how do you follow this up? And and like I've written a lot of records, and I mean I always just I don't feel like I I don't feel like I have to do something different or that I have to whatever, but like there's always just that like I don't know, kind of like are you going to like I mean, this isn't relevant to y'all's situation cuz you literally released 4 songs, everybody loves it and like whatever, but sometimes it's just like that thing where you're like are people going to like this as much, you know? Or like in my case, it's like I'm like I'm I'm almost like do do people know when they lost it, when they just lost the plot? Like they don't, right? Like that's the thing, right? Because if you did, you'd stop. You'd be like, so I don't know, 15th Coma Regalia album, and it's just like bluegrass or something, and and like people are like,
you've
what?
earned the bluegrass at
Yeah,
this point.
I mean, I don't know, but what if you did, and what if it was like really good, but it's not what anybody that listened to your band wanted, but what if it was actually really good? Like,
Yeah.
who would be the judge of that? Like, you, Like this is way off the rails now, obviously. But like you would have to find people that like legit knew about bluegrass and liked bluegrass to where they'd be like, this either sucks or it's good, right? Like you wouldn't. I don't know. Like I said, way off the rails. I don't know where that was going, but like sometimes it's it is sometimes it can be like I don't think that with House Olympics to Lockslip that it was like this. Like I don't think you had any of your friends really that were like, yeah, I don't really fuck with this, right? Like that didn't really happen, but like it could have, I guess. You know, there's always the it was good until all the screaming. You know, like there's always the mom thing where which is
Shout out
just
to my
like,
parents.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, me like if my kids play music and I'm going to be the one that's like, well, it was good until there was no screaming, you know? like um but yeah, that's just that's just a thought I have sometimes. It's just like we all got to just like Sarah said, just like do what we're doing and be genuine about it. But then like there's always that idea in my head like where it's like will you know when you just like lost the plot, because like our ninth album like is not like our last one, but it's like the same. It's just like it's just it's not like it, but it's the same. But then our 10th album is like it's not even gonna like I will not, if people don't like it, that's cool, because I will understand if people don't like it because it's not like our other albums. But it's just gonna be fun to do. But like,
Exactly.
yeah, I don't know.
You
That's
just gotta
That's
decide like who you're making music for, and you're ultimately you're making music for yourself first, and
right.
you got to be fulfilled with what you're doing. And if people don't fuck with it, then like that's fine. But
Yeah.
if you still like it, like that's cool.
It's funny too to take that all in the context of like this is something that we as musicians are like offering to people for free, like all the
Hmm.
time, So it's like it's funny to think about it in that context too. Like we're so worried whether people are gonna like it or not. It's like it's a gift. Like they can take it or they can say no thank you. And that's
Yeah,
also fine, you know?
yeah.
Um
I mean, tons of bands changed the way they sound, and if they're just making their own music, it is what it is. But it's more, I think, you're saying the pressure of like, do we have to like go bigger to
yeah,
make
yeah.
people happy or to keep them interested? I'm like, I don't necessarily think that's true. I think that now there's more room to experiment a little bit if we want to. Because I know people had interest in trying other things, whether it's more electronic stuff or just like whatever it is, vocally, whatever. But if you change your sound because you think you have to is one thing, but if you change it a little bit because that's what you want to do, it's just that's fine. I
Yeah.
look at Caven. Caven's like one of my favorite bands ever, and album to album, they're like completely different. But at the same time, you hear some of the same stuff. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, for sure. Um, and just like for continuity's sake, if anybody's like, "Wow, Comaregia is changing their sound on the 10th album," it's not that. It's just I want to write one. I want to write one album that sounds like a certain thing, and that's what I'm gonna do. Like
yeah,
so, um, but yeah, Cave-In is a really good example. I think there's plenty of examples. Like, I mean, one of the funniest examples to me in I don't know if people are gonna necessarily have even heard this, but like Piebald was a screamo band. Like
yeah.
their first EP was like a screamo EP, and then like they sounded like what they sounded like, which is like, they were good. Like, but yeah, I don't know. That's like that's I don't know if that's more extreme of a change than Cave In or not. I don't. I feel like it is and it isn't because I don't know. Like you said, like with Cave-In, you can still see how that happened, right? Um, but yeah. So you
Or
all
like Me
have.
Without You as well.
Oh, I'm really only familiar with like I guess there's one album that I like a lot, and I don't really know that I know that they ever sounded different than that. I'm trying to think of like the the one song that I really like off the was it like January 1979.
That's
Like
first.
so like that's my favorite song, and like that album I listen to quite a bit. So like is that not like are they way different than that album as a whole, or is that what they ended up sounding like?
I mean, first like one or two albums, they were just like straight up like kind of like a post-hardcore band.
Oh.
Um,
It's very rock and roll part.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
but then yeah, like then like in the middle of their career, they definitely went down almost like this like folky, almost like an Arcade Fire sort of like direction, like very extreme right turn. But then they kind of came back towards like that heavier side a little bit, like towards the end of their career as well. But yeah, they were just like all over the place, but in such a good way. Like I think they did it so gracefully. Like I love Without You.
I don't know why this just occurred to me too, but like as someone from Bloomington, Murder by Death.
Murder by Death.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because Murder by Death, they were like an indie hardcore band, like, and then they're a country band, pretty
Yep.
much. Like, so that was a big one, and that
Yeah,
was
because they used to do shows with like Against Me and shit. And then,
I saw them with My Chemical Romance when there was like 50 people there.
That's sick.
It was My Chemical Romance and like Strike Anywhere.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and it was in Indianapolis. It was in a barn, like that had they built like two stages in it, and it was that band The Explosion played as well, and and yeah, yeah, it
It's
was
so weird. I saw them with Broadway Calls and I think The Loved Ones. It's like they play with like pop punk bands a lot.
yeah, that's so weird.
That's awesome.
Like back back when like back right before some of these bands hit, like I saw At the Drive-In and Get Up Kids together. Like
Oh my god.
it was like I saw them in like Champaign, Illinois. I think it was Champaign, because like it was only like I had not been to Illinois that many times. Like I was new to living in Indiana, and it was like at a place that was basically like a BW3s, but like they just pushed all the like tables and stuff out of this one area, and it was At the Drive-In and Get Up Kids and that band Ultimate Fake Book and
Not-
and this band Hot Rod Circuit.
Whoa.
Yeah, and when my old band had played with Hot Rod Circuit before, so we like kind of knew them, and there was like 50 people there, and then there's just like this like bar like up in these rafters, and people were just up there drinking like they did not care. They were just there to drink, and I was like, when like Relationship of Command came out and everything, and At the Drive-In got huge, I was just like, I bet every single one of those people that were up there just drinking and didn't care about the music were like, yeah, I saw At the Drive-In play once. Like, you didn't care, you know. We were down there like watching this we were down there watching this man do handstands right in front of us.
Yep.
You know, and it
You
was
were witnessing
amazing.
history.
Yeah, but I don't know that. You know, that went on a bit of a tangent, but that's what we do, right?
I love that.
Yeah. So like, you know, are there plans to release the EP like on cassette or 7-inch or anything like that? Is anything like that happening or?
Yeah, we are in the process right now of getting some tapes made.
Awesome.
So it's actually, I don't think he'll care if we like say this ahead of time, but it's Jeremy from Bad Break Records. He also like helped House Olympics with our 7-inch and then also like some tapes and stuff. So we're working with him again to do like a run of tapes right now. So we should be getting those soon. So soft launch here on the podcast.
Awesome. And like you mentioned that there'll be a show, and you can't announce it yet, but there'll be like a show announcement before too long for the first show.
Yeah.
And the goal is probably to have the tapes by then. So that'll be like that. And you're writing the LP as we speak. Is there are there any other like bits of news like is Entry about to do anything that you want to throw out there or?
No, we're just also writing, so
Yeah.
like maybe something in the fall, but nothing really. Just taking our time over there.
Yeah. Yeah. Just like you're just feeling that pressure right now, just like, okay, cool, I gotta write like 15-20 sets of lyrics right now. Fantastic.
I mean, I'm like, it's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine as you
Fine.
like rub your face into your hand.
Fine.
Well, that's awesome. It's been really cool chatting with y'all, and like, if it's not apparent, I really enjoy the EP, and I hope everybody comes out to that show, grabs a tape, stuff like that. Of course, we'll let everybody know in the show notes and stuff where to find that on Bandcamp if they haven't already. But are there other places that people should follow y'all? Like, do you want to just like plug your Instagram or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're most active just on our Instagram. It's literally just at Lockslip. We got real lucky with that one.
Yeah.
I mean, we have like Facebook, Twitter as well. We're also we do have a TikTok that I think we're gonna let Nick use just so he can post all of his memes and shit on there. To be determined on that. But Instagram is probably where we're the most active. You know, the music is up on all the big streaming platforms, just, you know, wherever people listen. So, but yeah, appreciate you so much for having us on this. And thank you for all the kind words about the EP. Like it really means a lot. And even just on a personal note, it's been nice just like getting to talk with you and like reconnect with you after so many years.
Yeah, for sure. It's really wild. Like sometimes when I'm like, has it really been like 7 years or something, you know? And it has, you know, because time is funny, especially when not such cool things have been happening in the world, you know. It makes time just like fly by you in this way where, yeah, at the time you're like, it feels like an eternity, but then the next thing you know, it's like the way your trauma brain processes all that. You're just like, oh, right, it's 2024 now. That's what's happening. But yeah, it's been a real pleasure chatting with y'all. Like we can just leave it at that if you want. But is there anything else like that we should chat about before we take off? Like, or say what?
Shout out Noah. So.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Recording.
Yeah, definitely shout out Noah for his recording prowess. And you know, like other bands, like, so Noah has a couple other bands that we can like, I can send you like the links to them as well. He's in this like fun dancey noise punk band called Mom and the Mailman. Also plays drums in this like glitchy kind of queercore band called Decoy Body. I also play in another band called Auteur. We're like kind of a metalcore band. I think that's all of our projects. Yeah.
I have another one, but it's not really a thing yet. So TBD. TBD.
And that was my conversation with Sara and TJ from Lockslip. Thank you both so much for taking the time to chat with me. Thanks to all of y'all for listening wherever you are as well. Don't forget to stop by patreon.com/humanmachine and check out what's going on. Until next time, take care and do good things.